Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's tutorial are these adorable little pansies. Now, I've always wanted to make a pansy. So a while ago, I bought let me just go get it real quick and I'll show you. Okay, I bought this wall hanging from a antique store and it's got a pansy on it and it's double thick. Very cute. I love it. I have it hanging on the side of my bookshelf, actually. And it's actually kind of dusty now that I look at it. That's embarrassing. Anyway, but so I've always wanted to create my own, right? Well, I'm not a huge fan of the one that's on there, so I thought let me show you. Take off this third little petal, have two, put these behind these, and I thought, man, that makes a really pretty pansy. So after a few test runs, I came up with my pattern. And I'm super proud of it. I love it. I do want to not sugarcoat it and tell you guys this is a little harder than some of my other tutorials. I don't know how to explain it. It's not as easy as I would like, but I think you guys can do it. And I do want to apologize now because in the tutorial we used this dark purple, and it's not the easiest. That was my mistake. I completely apologize for that, but I think you guys can do it. So if you Google pansies, you are going to see so many different color of pansies or types of pansies. So you have the ombre ones that are dark in the middle and lighter on the outside. And then you have ones that are the solid color on the outside with a black in the middle. Or you have ones that are completely different color in the middle and then solid on the outside. And then you have my favorite, the ones that are the solid in the middle and the two back petals. And then the white on the outside. I think those are just the prettiest. Love them. So I have a couple different, little tests to show you. I would have to go with this one, and this one is my favorite. I love the orange pansies for fall, and then of course you got your leaves. Having said that, I want to know your guys' opinion. What is your opinion on leaves? Just with the crocheted version is all I'm talking about. The leaves with the pansies. I am not a fan of them. I like just the pansies by themselves, and you can put them hang them on the wall. You can do whatever you want to with them. It's just with the leaves, I think it looks weird, and I think it's because, in my opinion, I think it's because when you see pansies like this, you don't see leaves. But when you see like pansies in a pot or ground coverage or however you see them, yes, there's leaves, but they're like bushy. I don't know how to explain. I don't know. You guys help me. Something about the leaves with the pansies I'm not a fan of. But I'm going to show you guys in the tutorial how to make your leaves, how to make the pansies. Let's talk about what you're going to need. So let me get all of these out of the way. So I used just a 4-weight scrap yarn for all of mine. All of them are yellow in the center. You guys, do any color you want to. And having said that, you can use any yarn you want to, any thread you want to. It is completely up to you. Now, I did use for the 4-weight yarn, I used a 5mm hook. And I made one out of 4-weight yarn, and for that I used a 3.5mm hook, and then for the size 10 crochet thread I used a 1.5, and then I made another one with a 2mm. But you guys use whatever hook you feel comfortable with, whatever you want to use. Okay, so get your yarn that you want to use, the colors that you want to use, and then get a hook with whatever hook you're comfortable with that yarn. And then, of course, get you some scissors, a needle to weave in your end. And I do recommend a stitch marker just because sometimes it helps just to mark that first stitch. So this pattern does consist of single crochets, double crochets, no half doubles, no. Although the leaf does. The leaf has half doubles. And an extended treble. And I show you guys in the tutorial how to work the extended treble. And we do work into slip stitches, so you may need more than just one stitch marker if you have a hard time identifying slip stitches. And then, so on this one, these two back petals, I actually use the tail from the orange yarn to stitch them down to where I wanted them, whereas this one I didn't. And I recommend, you guys do what you want to do, but I kind of like it better when they're not stitched down. So like you can't pull these apart. I stitched them together so they lay, well, that one I didn't. So they laid the way I wanted them to, whereas this one is all open and free, which I kind of like better. But you guys can do whatever you want to. And then one last option, I use my little iron and put it on the steam setting, and all I did was just hit these the white part of the petal, hit it with a little bit of steam so it keeps it from cupping so much. So like you can see on this one I didn't, and you see how much they cup like that. If you just hit it with it, well, I mean you can stretch it with your hands too, to get it to lay like that, or you know, just hit it with a little bit of steam and get them to not cup so much. But it's completely optional. You don't have to do that. I didn't on these and they look just normal. Don't look at my ends. All right, so let's see, anything else? That is it. So go ahead and get your supplies together and let's get started. Okay, so to get started, we're going to get a slip knot on our hook with your middle color. So I am remaking this one with a bigger yarn. So the yellow is what I'm going to use. And actually I use yellow on the center of all of the ones I made. You guys can use whatever color you want. I am going to use the yellow. All right, we're going to start with a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to come down to this first chain and slip stitch. Get my finger in there so I don't lose my ring. Slip stitch, chain 1. Pull that tail tight. All right, so now we've got our little ring, and into the ring we're going to work 8 single crochet. So I'm working over my tail. I'm going to go 1 and then stop and mark that so I don't lose it. Right there. If you guys can hear that, the wind is blowing like crazy outside. And it's, what is it, like 70 degrees and the wind is blowing, so I think there's a storm coming. Anyway, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, still working over my tail, 6, 7, and one more is 8. And I'm going to pull that tail just a tad bit. I don't want to fully close the center, just a tad bit. And then slip stitch to the first single crochet. Right in there. Slip stitch, slip stitch, chain 1, pull up a loop, and fasten off. I'll weave in this end later. All right, so now I am going to go on to my second color, and for this one is going to be the purple, but you guys can use whatever color you want. So I'm going to get another slip knot on my hook, plenty of tail to weave in, and we are going to go right back into that single crochet that we slip stitched into, right back into that very first one. And slip stitch to attach. And I'm going to tighten, or well, pull that tail to tighten down that slip stitch. And I got to get churchy off my pattern. All right, we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do recommend to work that a little on the tighter side. You'll see why in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to come right back down into that single and slip stitch. Just like that. Okay, so into the next single crochet, we're going to work a slip stitch, chain 2, double, and a treble. So go right in there with a slip stitch, chain 2, and I realize this purple is a little harder to see. Maybe I should zoom in a bit. Okay. All right, so I got my slip stitch, chain 2, right back in there with a double, and then right back in there again with a treble. Okay, chain 1. Now I need to mark off what we've worked, because this, if I don't mark this off as we go, I get completely lost in my pattern. All right, so into the next single crochet, we're going to work a treble, double crochet, chain 2, slip stitch. So we're working the same thing we just did, just backwards, working our way back down. So go in there with a treble, double, chain 2, and go right back in there with a slip stitch. Okay, and mark that off. Into the next single, we're going to work a slip stitch, chain 2, double, piece of fuzz or something, and then go right back into that single with a treble. Chain 1, single crochet into the next single, so right there, chain 1, and into the next single, treble, double, chain 2, slip stitch. So treble, double, chain 2, and go right back in there with a slip stitch. All right, into the next single, you should have 2 single crochets left. This is our slip stitch and our chain 1 to end that round. So there's only 2 singles left, although there looks like there's another one, but there's not. All right, into the second to last single, we are going to work the slip stitch, chain 2, go back in there with a double, go back in there with a treble. Okay, and now we chain 1, and into the last single crochet, we're going to work the treble, double, chain 2 and go right back in there with a slip stitch. Just like that. All right, so I'm going to get this tail out of the way to the back. And we are going to, regardless of whether, let me show you guys, regardless of whether you are changing color or not, so like for this purple one I'm making, I will not be changing color, where on this one I do change color. So regardless of whether you're going to change color or not, slip stitch into that very first chain 4 we made for the round, for round 2. Slip stitch right in there. All right. If you're going to change color, chain 1 and fasten off, and then get your next color and attach into the same chain 4 and with a slip stitch, and then you're caught up and you're ready to go. Just follow what I'm getting ready to do, okay? So let me turn my page. I got a lot of scribble written on this. All right. We are going to, so once you slip stitch into your chain 4, whether you change color or you're adding a new color, we're going to chain 6. So I slip stitch, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Now we're going to go right back into the chain 4 that we slip stitched into, right here. We're going to work, well, no, we're not. I'm sorry. I messed that up. Blah, 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 blah. Forget I just said that. We're actually going to go into the very first chain of the chain 7 that we just worked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, chain 6. We're going to go right into that very first chain. We're going to work 7 extended treble crochets. So what's the extended treble? So extended treble, I want to show you, I'm just going to work it as normal. Okay, so working into the first chain that we're getting ready to go into, if you can see it right there, we want to work into the side loop that you see on the side of your chain right here, plus the back hump. We want to catch 2 loops of the chain. And the reason why we're doing that is because if we only worked into 1 loop of the chain, it will cause that loop to get really big and it looks funny. So if you go catch that side loop right here, and then right there is the back hump, the back bump, catch both of those when we work this extended double, okay? So make sure you have both of those loops, and if you want to, get your hook in there and then kind of just wiggle your hook around and it'll get it to stay open. So when we work the stitch, you don't have to try to find where you want to go. All right, so for now that we know where we're going to go, to work the extended double, we yarn over twice, get some slack, and we go in to where we're going to work the stitch, so side loop and back loop, pull up a loop, okay? So just like a normal treble, we have 4 loops on our hook. Now usually we would yarn over, pull 2, yarn over, pull 2, yarn over, pull 2. I just hit my face on my camera. Yarn over, pull 2, you know, like a normal treble. The only difference is the very first yarn over, we only pull through 1 loop. So yarn over, pull through 1. And now we just finish the treble like normal. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So all that's doing is just giving it a tad bit more height than a normal treble crochet. It's the only difference. So that was 1. We're going to work 7. 1, 2, go right back into that chain, which I realize it's really hard. It's kind of hard to see on this with this purple yarn. Go right back in there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. All right, so that's 2. We're going to do 7. So I'm going to go in, pull through. Actually, I'm going to fold that petal out of the way. Yarn over, pull through 1, and yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. So there's 3. I'm going to work one more on camera with you, and then I'm going to finish them off camera. So go into the same chain, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so that's 4. So go ahead and work 5, 6, and 7, so 3 more, and I will work mine off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I worked 3 more of my trebles, extended trebles. And now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to go right back into that same chain and slip stitch. So right back into that chain. And work a slip stitch. Okay? Alright, so that is the first little back petal for our pansy. That's going to set just like that. A little to behind this petal and then above it. Okay? And we're actually going to do the exact same thing again into the chain 4. So, into that same chain 4 right there, slip stitch, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go right into the side loop and the back loop of that very first chain of the chain 6 we just made, and work 7 extended treble. So I'm going to let you guys work that off camera. I'm going to get mine done off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've worked my 7 extended treble. Now I'm going to chain 5. The yarn is tied up on my arm. Go right back into that same chain and slip stitch, which is a bit of a bear to see. There. I think I got it. Yeah. All right, so now if you are going to change colors, chain 1 and fasten off, okay? If you are not changing colors, I want you, let me go ahead and show you. If you are not changing color, what I want you to do on this first petal right here, see the chain 2, like remember into that single crochet after we work the slip stitch, chain 4, slip stitch into the same single, and then slip stitch, chain 2, double treble into the next single. That very first slip stitch into that next single crochet, I want you to attach your new color. So to do that, get a slip knot on your hook. Make sure you got plenty of tail to weave in. Slip stitch into that slip stitch, and it's going to be a little tight, so you're going to have to pop the top of your hook into the that first slip stitch. Okay, so to find that, just find your chain 2 right here and follow it down, and right there is your first slip stitch that you need to attach into. Okay, and if you're not changing color, after you slip stitch into the chain to end this petal, go ahead and chain 1. Oh wait, did I just say if you're not changing color? If you are changing color like me, chain 1 and pull up a loop, and we're going to cut. Okay, so we are done with this purple that is way too dark for me to use on a tutorial. Okay, so anyway, your pansy should be looking like this. All right, and we are going to use some of our tails to do a little bit of sewing if you want to. You do not have to do it. I didn't do it on this one, and it just lays how it lays. All right, so I'm going to go to my next color, which is my last one, which for this pansy is white, and it should be a lot easier to see on camera. So get a slip knot on your hook, and like I said, if you are not changing color, then go ahead and slip stitch into the the slip stitch at the bottom of that chain 2. And if you are changing color, we're going to attach. I think I totally got that all tongue-tied earlier. Let me just start it all over, okay? If you are changing color, slip stitch into that chain to end the back petal, that second back petal. Chain your 5, slip stitch into the chain. Chain 1, cut, and fasten off. Get your new color on your yarn. If you're not changing color, slip stitch into the slip stitch in the very first slip stitch in the next single crochet. So at the bottom of that chain 2, slip stitch into there to attach. We're going to go right in there. Nope, nope, nope. Just go, Churchy. Go, go, go. It's knocking everything down. Ugh. Sorry about that. All right, so I'm into that slip stitch. So now I'm going to slip stitch to attach my new color. Let me okay, I had to get my the little slashes erased on my pattern so I can keep track where I am. All right, so we are ready to start the last round, and we are going to go straight around that chain 2 right here, and we're going to work 2 single crochet up that chain 2. So we slip stitch, don't chain 1 or anything. We're just going to go straight around the chain 2 and work 2 single. Just like that. All right, now we are going to, in the top of that double, the very next stitch, the double crochet, we're going to work a double and a treble. All right, now into the next stitch, which is the treble, we're going to work a treble, then an extended. So go ahead and go in there with a normal treble and then extended. So the extended again, we're just going to yarn over, pull through 1, then pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay? So let me mark off where we are. Okay, so we are going to chain 1 and then into the next treble we're going to work the extended and then a treble. So the extended treble, yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And go right back in there with just the regular old treble. Oop, 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 oop. I lost my yarn over. 1, 2. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay? Mark that off. Into the next stitch, we're going to work a treble, then a double. So go ahead and treble crochet and go right back in there with a double. And we are going to work 2 single crochet down the side of the chain 2 at the end of this petal right there. So work 1 and 2. And that is the first part of our petal. Or the last part of our first petal, I should say. Alright, so now, mark that off. So in between your petals, you have, so that chain 2 we just worked down, right? You have a slip stitch, and then we slip stitch for the next petal. Into the second slip stitch, we're going to pop our hook in there. I think it's going to be a little hard on this petal. There it goes. And we're going to slip stitch. Alright, so we are going to work 2 single crochet up that chain 2. So just set it sideways and single crochet around your chain 2 twice. 2 single crochet around that chain 2. Now double and treble into the next double. So double and then treble. Pull through 2, pull through 2, and then into the next not into the next, we are going to chain 1, and then into the next stitch we are going to work a treble, extended treble, treble. So treble, extended, so we just yarn over, pop through 1 loop only, and then finish the treble and go right back in there with the treble. Chain 1. Sorry, I didn't mean to bump my camera. Mark that off. All right, get me some slack. Now, in between the petal that we just finished and the next petal, if you pull it apart, see that single crochet right there? Into that single crochet, we're going to work a treble. Chain 1, go back in there with a single, chain 1, and we're going to go right back in there again with a treble. Just like that. And now chain 1, and into the next double crochet we're going to work a treble, extended treble, 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 extended, pull through 1 loop first and then just finish the treble, and 1 more treble. Just like that. Mark that off. All right, chain 1 and into the next double crochet. So right here's that chain 2. There's my double crochet. We're going to work a treble, then a double. Treble, go right back in there with a double. All right, now we're going to chain 2, and then right around that chain 2 we're going to work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. So mark that off, mark that off. All right, so when we come down here, we have the slip stitch at the end of that chain 2. Remember, we slip stitched into that single and then jump to the next single to slip stitch. So not this one, but the next slip stitch, we're going to slip stitch into. So pop your hook in there and work a slip stitch, and then we are going to work 2 single crochet up that chain 2. So around it, just work 2 single crochet, just like that. All right, we are going to double crochet and treble into the next double. So a double, treble, there we go, into the next stitch, which is a treble, I think. We're going to work a treble and an extended treble. So a normal treble, and then an extended, right back in there, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, finish the treble, and then chain 1. Mark that off. Into the next, see, we're here, we don't work into the chain 1s. Into the next one, we are working a extended and a treble. Pull through 1 only, and then finish, and then a normal treble. Okay. And then into the last double, mark off where I am, we are going to work a treble and then a double. So just a normal treble and go right back in there with a double. Chain 2, and then we're going to come down and 2 single crochet around the chain 2, and I am folding everything to the back so it's out of my way. 1 and 2. All right, so mark that off. Okay, so we are going to pull that apart, and you can see right here we've got our chain 2, and then right there is the slip stitch, and then right here is the slip stitch to start the chain 4. We're going to come right over and slip stitch into the first single crochet. Just pass everything. I want that to be, oop, dang it, I keep bumping my camera. I'm going to come right over and work a slip stitch into the very first single crochet. Chain 1, pull up a loop, and cut. And we are done with our pansy. Now all we need to do is weave in the ends. So to do that, I'm going to get this laid out the way I want it to, nice and pretty, where it looks like a pansy. Just like that. I'm going to pull you guys out a bit. All right, now to weave in these ends, if you want to, you don't have to do this. These purple tails, or whatever tails you have, I use to kind of stitch these back petals onto the front petals. So these back 2 onto the front to get them to lay the way I want to. Like I said, it's not necessary. I'm actually going to let you guys do that on your own. I'm not going to do that just because I like the way the pansy lays when it is just laying the way that it's laying. Does that make sense? Like, instead of it being forced, I don't know if you can tell, but it's forced on this one, and it looks weird between these two back petals that they're laying on top of each other. Whereas this one is just laying the way that, you know, it lays. So I'm going to let you guys do that if you want to. It's not necessary. Well, I say it's not necessary. You don't have to do that. If you prefer it, go ahead. If not, no big deal. Okay? So basically, other than what I just said about using your tails to just run a stitch through both, all you need to do is just weave in your ends as normal. And like I said, unless you're, you know, going to stitch them down. Which the more I think about it, the more I don't want to. Just because I don't know, I like the way it looks better. Whenever you run a stitch or two through there, it almost looks like it's forced to lay the way it wants to, or the way that, you know, you stitch it. And it doesn't give it an odd look, it's just you can kind of tell. So basically I'm just running the legs of the tails through the same color. Okay, so go ahead and weave in your ends, and when we come back, we're going to make a leaf. Okay, so I will be right back. Okay, so I am back. I got my ends weaved in. Now, one thing I like to do, you don't have to do this, but these two top bigger petals, if you just take your iron, like I have my little iron here, I have it on the steam setting, and I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of steam. And then just flatten it out, just like that. You definitely do not have to do this. I just prefer to, just because sometimes I'm a perfectionist, even though I try not to be. I just like things to go the way I like them to go. And you can do the same thing with these bottom. Just hit it with a little bit of steam. Let them dry. And there is your pansy. Get this little bad boy out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and unplug him. But, alright, so let's get started with our petals, or petal. I'm only going to make one. Now, I do have to say, I am not the biggest fan of the pansy with the petal. I don't know, there's something about it to me that just looks funny that I can't put my finger on. I think, honestly, what I think it comes down to is that whenever you see a pansy, you don't see just two petals on each side. Like, I don't know, like on a sunflower or a rose or something, you'll see like the crocheted rose and then a petal on one side, or, you know, a petal on the other side, or maybe two petals like this. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. So it could be two petals like that, or a petal on each side and then the flower in the middle. I don't know why, but to me it just looks different with a pansy, because the pansies don't grow like that. Well, I mean, a pansy is like a ground cover kind of plant. It has a short stem with a bunch of little leaves coming off of it. So it just, I don't know. I'm rambling. Let me just show you guys how to make this petal. Jeez. And you can make as many as you want. Oh, I forgot one of my pansies. It was hiding underneath my yarn. Get over there. Okay. So let me get my yarn here. And I'm just using the same hook that I did with my pansy for the leaf. So my 5mm. Okay. Get enough tail. Get a slip knot on my hook. Let me bring you guys in a bit. And we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come down, slip stitch to that first chain to form a ring. And I like to get my fingers in there so I don't lose the little ring it creates. Pull the tail tight to tighten that down and chain 1. And we are going to go right back into the ring over our tail with 6 double crochet. I'm splitting my yarn like crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one more is 6. Now chain 3, and then we're going to come right back into the ring with 5 double. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we are going to slip stitch into the top of that very first double crochet right there. And that is the end of round 1. So this is the chain 3 is the point of our leaf. About said flower. Okay, so chain 1, and we're going to go right back into that double with 1 single crochet. Just like that. And now work 2 single crochet into each of the double until we get to that chain 3 point, okay? So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 2 single into each double until our chain 3, and into our chain 3, 2 half double, chain 3, and go right back in there with 2 half double. 1 and 2, and then work 2 single crochet into each of the double all the way back to the beginning. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and into the last double for 9 and 10. And right here is our slip stitch. There's our chain 1, and that's our first double. So go ahead and slip stitch to that first, or I'm sorry, first single. Slip stitch to that first single crochet, chain 1, pull up a loop, and where's my scissors? And cut. And that is our super simple, quick and easy leaf. Of course you want to weave in your ends, but there you go. Don't look at my ends. So you can make another one, or you can just have one to the side. I don't know, it's just still something about it. I don't like the pansy with a leaf. I don't know why. But you guys can have as many leaves around this little bad boy as you want, okay? So that is it. Super quick and easy leaf. Pansy's a little harder, but I think you guys can do it. So thank you guys for watching. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave me a comment and let me know what you guys think. And I realize before you even say anything, I am sorry I used that dark purple. I probably shouldn't have, but I think you guys have the ability to not only halfway see what I was doing, but hear me telling you and then see it on your own work and be able to do it yourself, okay? So I do apologize for that. I shouldn't have done that. But as always, you guys are the greatest. And lastly, check out that description box. I got links down there for you guys. And that's it. I will see you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.